Perfect. So thank you everyone for coming and welcome. Again, thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. So just a quick introduction to the Zoom webinar platform. So first, for the sake of time, I'm going to be answering questions at the end of the PowerPoint. I know that questions may be coming up during a slide, so if you would like, you can enter a question in the Q&A option at the bottom. So if you just hover your mouse towards the bottom of the screen, there should be a Q&A option, I think to the right of the screen. So in there you can just post the questions, and then Ms. Balterman will be able to ask me those questions at the end of the webinar. And just a quick introduction about myself. My name is Ms. Alcaraz. I'm the high school placement counselor at Growing Up Green. I'm originally from California, from Tahoe. I've been in New York City for 5 years now. I have a lot of experience in the high school process, and my background stems from suicide prevention and crisis hotline, AmeriCorps member, working in a middle school. I helped at the Columbia Secondary School College office. I graduated from Teachers College, interned at a K-8, and now I'm here at Guggums, and it's going to be the end of my second year. And then with me is Ms. Balterman, the Director of Counseling. She's going to be helping me at the end to answer questions as well. So the high school process, it can be stressful, can also be very, very exciting. It is a collaborative process. So one of the things that I will be doing is sending home informational newsletters every week at the beginning of 8th grade till December. So right now I know most families are receiving my 7th grade weekly newsletters through email. And I'll be continuing that in 8th grade, but it'll be more tailored to the 8th grade process. So it'll talk about open houses, school tours, test dates, audition dates. I'll be highlighting a school on there as well, like I am now in the 7th grade newsletter. And we'll also be updating information on the online webpage. So this newsletter will be emailed to the emails that we have on file to parents. But if families want a paper copy, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to print one and send it home with your child. But again, these newsletters have a lot of information. And in addition to the newsletters, I'm available as a resource, email, phone, to set up meetings. I am definitely here every step of the way. I know it can seem like a lot. So I am here to support you however I can. So I know some students are on this webinar as well. So I wanted to state some questions to get your mind thinking about what kind of schools you want to attend in 9th grade. So some of these questions are, how big do you want your school to be? There's different sizes in schools. Some smaller ones are 300, 400 kids, and it can go up to really big schools like 5,000 kids. So really thinking about where you see yourself in 9th grade, thinking about what extracurricular activities and sports you want in your school. If you want to go to a school that focuses on a specific topic like math, science, engineering, or if you want a more generic school, how far are you willing to travel? Are you willing to take the bus and subway? Are you willing to walk? How far are you willing to travel? 30 minutes, an hour? What time does the school schedule start? Does it start at 9 a.m. or does it start at 7:30? So just thinking about all those things. And also if your school offers college courses and internships or partnerships with the school, that's going to be really, really important. Oh. So I just copied some information from the My School's website, which we will go over later. But again, this is information to start to get you thinking about what you want in a school. So here we're looking at Energy Tech High School. It's in Queens. The address is here. So thinking about if that's far for you or if that's close. Of course, the contact information, but here's the subway and the bus system. So if you are near those subways or buses, that might be a good fit. Here you see this school is from 9th grade to 14th grade. So this school gives you an option to stay for an extra 2 years for an associate's degree. So that might be something that you're interested in. Again, the school is smaller and the schedule is from 8:45 to 3:45. So thinking if you're able to make a schedule on time, something like that, something at 8:45. So that might be difficult if you live far away. Here's the overview of the school. Already I see that the school talks about partnerships with LaGuardia Community College, Con Edison, National Grid. So that's going to be important if you're interested in those things. And then we see the performance. So these numbers are really important. We really concentrate on 2 percentages. So we concentrate on the graduation rate. Here it's 90%, so it's really good. We also concentrate on the safety rate, so 90% safety, which is also really good. I normally recommend schools to be 80% or higher. I normally don't recommend anything below that. But there are some schools that might say 90% graduation rate and 75% safety rate. So that's going to be something that you really, as a family, have to be comfortable with. But again, I normally wouldn't suggest anything below the 80%. Here you see the academics. Again, they talk about an associate's degree, internships, mentoring programs like robotics, and then a CTE program, which is Careers and Technical Education program, language courses, AP courses. So again, information just to get your mind thinking about where you see yourself in 9th grade. Okay, an introduction to the applications. So there is a required application and there's an optional application. So every 8th grader in New York City has to complete a New York City public high school application. There is only 1 round of applications. They got rid of the 2nd round, so some of you might heard of round 2 that no longer exists. And this required application has 12 spots. So we do recommend that you use all 12 to ensure that you, or to increase the chances of you getting a placement in that first and only round. And then with that, you will get 1 offer and only 1. So there is the optional application. This is going to be with the 8 testing schools, the SH-SAT schools, and then the 1 LaGuardia audition school. So for example, if you are interested in auditioning for LaGuardia, they have 6 programs and you are allowed to audition for each program. So there's it's a possibility that you will get up to 6 additional offers. Now with the specialized high schools, you take 1 test and they admit students based on that score, and it's possible that you'll get 1 offer from there. So in total, you can get up to 2 to 7 offers depending on what you apply for, but you do have to complete the New York City public high school application. So there's different ways to get into high school. Like I mentioned before, there's the SH-SAT test. So these schools, these 8 schools which are listed below, will only admit students based on the score on that test. They're not looking at any academics or anything else, but it is a competitive test. So students will be preparing normally at the end of 7th grade. Then you have audition and screen schools. So both of these admissions methods will be looking at your students' academic records, so their report cards, their standardized test scores, their attendance, their latenesses. They'll also be looking maybe, like, for example, if it requires a test or an interview, that will be taken into consideration, or an audition. And then they're going to be looking at special education status, so they have a different category for that as well. Educational option. So this option is a little bit mixed. So, well, before I go into that, I do want to say with the audition and the screened programs, next year is going to look a little bit different because there are no state test scores. The attendance was already announced that was not going to be taken into accountability. And then the final grades are going to look different. So I'll go over in a little bit of when that should all be updated, but it will, like I said, look differently because of just everything that has happened this year. So back to educational option, this admissions method is a little bit mixed. So for example, if you have 10 seats in a program, five of the seats are going to be given randomly. So it's kind of like a lottery. And then the other half, they would normally be ranked by ELA state test scores, and you can see the percentages here on the bottom. Again, this is going to look different next year because we did not take any state test scores. And then you have screened language. So this would be a requirement for programs like dual language or for students who have been in the country maybe 4 years or less. So they do look at your academic record, again, special education status, and English language learner status. Then you have your zone schools. So these schools are based on where you live in your neighborhood. So some schools that you may have heard of are Long Island City High School, Bryant, Newtown. So those are all based on your home address, and you will always have a spot at the school no matter what. They cannot turn you away. And then the last admissions method is open. So this is just saying that 100% of the offers that this program will give are completely random. They're not looking at academic records. They're not looking at grades, latenesses, anything like that. So on the bottom here, I have balanced application. So basically with all these admissions methods, we want to see a balanced application for a student to increase the chances that they will be placed at a school that they want to go to during the one and only time that they are turning in the application. So like I said, before there used to be a round two, they don't have that anymore. So something that will help create a balanced application is to see the different admissions methods on an application. So most of the methods that we see are open, screened, audition, or ed opt. So those four are what we want to see on an application to make it balanced, because if you just put auditioned or screened programs, those are highly competitive programs. So if you just put those types of programs on the application, it's more than likely that they won't receive a spot. So there are other types of schools that children can apply to. And this is always a good backup to have as well. So other options other than the New York City public schools include Catholic schools, private schools, and charter schools. So with each of these schools, they each require a different admissions method. So if you're interested in charter schools, you'll have to go straight to their website and send an application. If you're interested in the Catholic school, you'll have to take the TAKS test. So it's TACHS, the TAKS test. And then they might require an interview. And then the private schools have their own admissions platform. So if you are interested in any of these types of schools, please let me know and I will support you through the process as well. Okay. So the high school admissions guide. So every year at the end of 7th grade, families will normally receive this guide. This was last year's guide. It's a small, thin book. It used to be really thick, but they did change it. So this has simple information about all public high schools in New York City. So it has data, it has like the address, the overview. It's very, very simple. It doesn't go in depth like the online directory does. But this year, they will also be changing it. So here at the bottom of the slideshow, you see that it says that now it'll be 2 guides in 1 book. So in 1 book, they will have the admissions guide and the specialized high school student handbook. So that'll be helpful. It'll give everyone the information, but again, it's going to be different. And the distribution of this will be different as well. So some will receive it by mail, and I'll go over that in the next slide, and it will also be online for families. So the DOE is also releasing a series of videos starting in June to inform and engage current 7th grade families in the high school admissions process. So I actually looked this morning, and there are a few videos there already. They're quick videos. They have a lot of information about the process and how students are placed in school. So if you have time, I highly recommend watching those. Okay, delivery and distribution plan. So beginning May 29th until June 30th, printed versions of the new admissions guide are going to be delivered to 7th grade families of students who did not have an internet device. So there should have been a survey sent out to families asking them if they needed a computer for online learning. We also gave out some computers. So to those families who needed a computer, that's how the DOE will get the information about sending out the admissions guidebooks. So if you weren't part of that and you would still like a hard copy, I can always send that information to the DOE as well. And then on June 15th, the guidebook will go live online. It'll be available as a PDF and it will be completely updated. The information that's available in the My Schools directory will also be updated on June 15th. It'll have the new requirements for next year, and it will be available in all the languages. On that day as well, June 15th, all the families of 7th graders will be notified of the changes that are talked about above and be notified of the plan of distribution from the DOE. When family welcome centers open in other DOE locations, it says here likely in September, the printed versions of these books will be delivered to those sites so families can go there and pick them up as well. And then in September, when the schools open back up, the DOE will be delivering these books as well to the building. So students will have a chance to pick those up from my office as well. Okay, so My Schools. Some families may have heard of this platform. It's the platform that we use to create and submit high school applications. It's all online now. They are hoping that this platform is helping families and making it easier for families to just fill out an application and submit it. So in 8th grade, all families must create a My Schools account. This is super, super important. If you do it right now, it's not gonna let you because you don't have any of the information and it doesn't come out until 8th grade. But during that time, once you get that information, you must create an account. The reason is because when offers come out, it's going to be really important for you to see and get notified of like a spot on the wait list that is open and being offered to you. And I'll go over that in a little bit. But also in the summer. So when school is out, this year, the counselor, myself, did not get any notification when students were being given offers from the wait list. So over the summer, it's going to be really important for you to have access to that account because that's the platform that they use to notify families that there is an offer for the family and the child in a school from the wait list. Again, in 8th grade, families will receive the account creation code and you don't have to worry about that now, but you also need like other information like the ID number and stuff like that. In 8th grade, families will create a My Schools account in order to submit the application. And if you do not feel comfortable submitting the application on your own online, I can print out a paper copy and we can fill it out that way and I can submit it on your behalf. But again, you still must create a My Schools account because it's going to be really, really important. Okay, so, we go through this whole process together. In December, we submit everything. And then in March, we get the results. So it has happened every year where a handful of students did their best creating their application, but they still don't get a placement and are placed in their zone school. So if this does happen, you can place yourself on Waitlist. You can apply to a charter high school as an alternative. So students will also automatically be placed on Waitlist for all the schools on their application that they did not get an offer to, and I'll go over that in a second. Also, appeals are not an option this year. So they did take that away because of the wait list. But if there is a documented hardship, then you can always go to a family welcome center and let them know what's going on. Show them the documentation. That could be, for example, you have to travel to the school that you're placed at for more than 2 hours, or an hour, I believe it's an hour and a half. Or maybe you suddenly broke your leg and you can no longer attend your school. So those would be hardships that you can go to a family welcome center and give them that documentation. Okay, so waitlist. So again, this past, well, the year that we're in now, that was the first time that waitlists were rolled out. So after the offers are made in March, the waitlists also open up, but this excludes the SHSAT schools. So students who receive an offer that was not their first choice will automatically be placed on the waitlist for schools above the school where they were placed on the application. So basically what this means is if a student receives an offer from their application and it was their fourth choice, they will automatically be placed on the waitlist for schools 1 through 3. Okay, so nothing after 4, just 1 through 3. And then if you want to add yourself to other wait lists, then you are more than welcome to add yourself to as many wait lists as you want. There is no limit to that. Also, if you decide you really love your school and you don't want to be on any of the wait lists because you've made your decision, if you remove yourself from the wait list, it'll give others an opportunity to move up in those wait lists. If you do have a spot in the wait list, it does not mean that you are guaranteed an offer from that wait list. So sometimes students are number 10, number 20 on the wait list, and they won't be moving up or down. So just keep that in mind. It is possible, but it's also possible that they won't be given an offer. Again, all requirements for a waitlist program still apply. So the grade requirements still apply, the audition requirements still apply. If you are on a waitlist, or if you want to add yourself to a waitlist with a program that requires an audition, make sure you attended that audition, or else they won't consider you. The last 2 bullet points, you can move up or down the wait list. So if someone has higher priority than you and adds themselves to the wait list, it can move you up in the wait list, if that makes sense. And then once you get an offer, you only have 1 week to accept it. So that's why the My Schools account is going to be really, really important, because since you only have a week and I don't get notified as of this year, I'm not getting notified, then you want to make sure that you're getting that information to make a decision. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the 8th grade timeline. So in September, they normally have high school fairs in every borough. So you're able to go and attend these fairs and talk to all the schools that are there and get more information. We will have workshops as well. And I will begin to pull students in small groups in September to start to get them thinking about their list or review the choices that they already have on their list, since they should be doing this over the summer. So that's going to be really important. They can also register for the test, LaGuardia auditions. They can do that through the My Schools account or through me. If you're interested in Catholic schools, you will need to register for the text test. If you're interested in a school like Beacon, you will need to create your portfolio. And then schools will have open houses and tours to help you see what the environment of that school is like. And then I'll continue to review the high school directory with the students. Okay, and then in October, you will hopefully continue to attend open houses and tours that schools have. I will also be scheduling some field trips to schools to help students, again, get a feel for the environment of certain high schools. October is when families create a My Schools account and they can access the high school application because that's when it opens. October is when you receive your SHSAT test tickets, when you attend auditions, when you receive test dates. There will be more high school fairs that you can attend, again, in each borough. And then in October is when the Beacon portfolio is accepted. In November and December, we're wrapping and finalizing everything. So hopefully you can still continue to attend open houses and tours. Like I said, we're finalizing the application. Your students are still continuing to meet with me. We're going over their list. And like I said, it is a very collaborative process. So, you know, at this point, we're crossing things off. We're adding things to the list, just trying to get it the best that we can. And then you're going to finalize it towards the end of November. Hopefully I can look over it before you submit it, but you are able to submit it in early December. You can submit it before if you're ready, but you have until early December to send that in. And then again, I can submit it on behalf of families as well. Okay, so then we have March and May. So March is when the offers are released. Again, there's only one round of high school applications. So what normally happens, you'll get an email saying your offer is ready to view online, and then you'll get your results. So in March, you will get your results, and then that's when the wait lists open as well. So you'll automatically be placed on these wait lists unless you get your first choice. And then you can start to add yourself to other schools' wait lists if you want. And then in May, for those students who receive 2 offers, so that would be the SHSAT offer or LaGuardia offer, and then the public high school offer. In May is when you need to make that offer decision. And again, just going back to the results, please make sure that you're thinking of schools that you want to go to and put them on the application. If you do not want to go to a school, don't put it on there. Because once you have those schools on the application, it's sent in, any of those schools are a possible offer. And if you get an offer that you're not happy with, it can be really hard to get out of that offer and move schools. So just keep that in mind. When you're looking through all of these schools, make sure that they're schools that you want to go to, you're interested in, you can get there on time. Do not put a school on there that you are not happy with or you don't want to go to. And this last slide is just my contact information. Email right now is the best way to get a hold of me, but I also wanted to include the Office of Student Enrollment email. So any questions that you may have, this is their email. They're pretty good at responding right now. There's also the DOE high school website, and then there's a list of welcome centers as well, but right now they are closed. I also wanted to show you how to browse the online high school directory, because that's something you can do right now. You can be proactive and start to look through these schools to start to create a list. So I quickly just want to show you. So I'm going to click on this. It should take me there. Great. So this is the welcome page of the My Schools website. Here is the URL up above. So you're going to see this big welcome announcement. So a lot of people tend to click this Get Started button. Do not click that because you don't have an account, so you're not going to be able to create anything and you're going to get stuck. So just go all the way to the bottom. You're going to see this big blue box. You're going to click on Start Browsing. And you're going to click on high school because you're applying to 9th grade. And then this website is great. It's very interactive. If you need to change the language, that's up here as well. And then you're going to see a map of New York City. So this is helpful. You'll also see that you can put in your address here to see what schools are near your home. You can also search schools here by sport, by interest, by school name. Here you have filters as well. So if you're interested in a school that's near the end line, you can pick the subway line there. And then size, sports, and more filters. So I am just going to search up a school. I'm going to search up Academy of American Studies because it's nearby. Great. So it's going to show you on this map here where the school is. Again, here's the address. So it's helpful for you to see if you're close to a school or not. This is the contact information, and then you have the subway and the buses that are nearby. So it's going to be important if you're traveling. Then you see the grades here. So it's 9 through 12. This is a medium-sized school. It's 1,000 students. And then you see an example of a schedule. So just keeping that in mind, are you going to make it there on time? Here you'll see the overview, so what this school really focuses on, what they're about, and then you have the performance. So this school is 98% graduation rate in 4 years, which is amazing, and then 86% of students feel safe in the hallways. So again, keeping that in mind, it's above 80%, so that's great. And then we're going to go to academics. So right away, I see that this school has College Now classes, AP classes. They have partnerships with the Met, the museums, the MoMA. They also have Spanish courses here, language courses, French and Spanish, and then AP courses here. For activities, they have some sports listed. So if you're interested in flag football or cross country, keeping in mind that this school does offer those. Not every school will offer the same extracurriculars or sports. And just going all the way to the bottom, here you see 2 stars and 2 titles. So this just means that this school has 2 programs that students can apply to. So each program is going to be different and have different requirements. So this first one, Academic Humanities, I'm going to click on it to see what a student might need to apply there. So we're going to go all the way back down. Again, it has a small overview about what the program is about, and then here you see the admissions method. So this one is ad opt. So again, that just means half of the seats are given randomly, and then the other half they're ranking students based on ELA state test scores, but again, that's going to look different for next year. Also, this priority group is really important. So this school only gives seats to Queens residents, right? Priority to Queens students residents, 100%. So that's important because when you're looking at schools in other boroughs, for example, Manhattan, sometimes schools will only give their spots to Manhattan students. So it's important that we're keeping this in mind and looking at it. If it says to New York City residents, that's great. But if it says to only Manhattan students, to only District 2 students, then unfortunately, Queens students should not apply because they're really not going to take those students into consideration. And then, so that's all we see for this program, right? Just ad op. So all the students have to do is put it on their application, and that's it. But there is another program, Intensive Academic Humanities. So we're going to click on that and see what those requirements are. So we're going to scroll all the way back down, and right away I see that the admissions method is different. It's screened. So what that means is that students have to meet certain requirements in order to apply and put it on their application. Again, the priority group is 100% offers went to Queens residents. So if you live in Queens, that's great. And then here you'll find the selection criteria. So again, this will be updated to it'll be updated based on all the changes that the DOE is making. This is all from last year, but you can see that the requirements for each program are different based on admissions method. Okay, so that was all that I had. I know it was a lot of information. Lauren, were there any questions?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Alcaraz. So there are 2 questions I see right now. The first one is, I'm going to read it directly. We went through this process 2 years ago with our son, who is now in 9th grade. I don't remember charter high schools as an option. Is this something that's new?
Not that I know of. It's not new. Maybe it just wasn't talked about as much, but charter high schools are an option. In Queens, by the middle school, there aren't many charter high schools that you can walk to. So there's actually none that you can walk to. So just keeping that in mind that wherever you apply for a charter high school, a lot of them are in Manhattan. There's some in Brooklyn, and are some in Queens, but you do have to take transportation for those.
Thanks. Okay, the next one is, what is required for a culinary school?
So I can think of two schools right now. One of them, they have different admissions methods. They could change every year. So one of them that I'm thinking of is an educational option admission. So for that, the students just have to put the school or whatever program on their application. They don't have to do anything extra like a test or like an interview, anything like that. But there are not a lot of culinary schools, and they're going to be different admissions methods. So if you would like to send me an email so I can specifically look at those schools and get back to you, that would be awesome.
And then the third question came in, can you apply to multiple programs at the same school?
Yes. So, for example, Bayside is a really big school, or Forest Hills, and they have a lot of different programs. So let's say they have a dance program and then like a math program. So the admissions method to those programs will be different, but you are more than welcome to apply to all of the programs in a school as long as you meet the requirements.
Great. Okay, another question just came in. For the school that require test and interview like BARD and baccalaureate, do the schools help to schedule the test for students interested, or is this solely a parent effort?
So for BARD, baccalaureate actually doesn't require a test, but for BARD, what you have to do is you have to register for that test. So you're going to have to go into their website and make sure that you meet all the requirements, and then they'll have a registration page where it'll most likely take you to a Google form, and you'll fill out all the information, all the contact information, and they will have specific dates and times, and you have to sign up for those dates and times, but they do fill up really quick. So the earlier that you can get on there, the better. Towards the end, a lot of these spots are filled up, and it could be that you may miss your spot or your chance to take that test.
Okay, and then we had another question. In terms of the changes the DOE may make to the application process due to COVID-19, is it correct that we're hoping they'll make that into public information or knowledge in early September?
So I did get an email from them stating that the information will be updated on June 15th online. So if you go into the My Schools website, this website here, all this information should be updated June 15th. So you should see all this like requirement stuff updated with what they're looking for next year. And on June 15th, they will also be sending out an email to families letting you know about those updates and their like the admissions guides and everything like that.
Great. So at this point, we'd like to open it up for another 2 minutes or so, however much time is needed, just in case anyone wants to put any last minute questions into the Q&A. Or if you feel like your question wasn't answered fully, go ahead and type it in now. Okay, Ms. Alcaraz, I see 2 more. You ready? Do kids take prep courses for BARD like they do for the SHSAT?
No, so BARD has normally said that they don't have a study guide. They're just really, sorry, I got distracted. They don't have a study guide. So um, they just say to really focus on what you learned in seventh grade. Um, they're going to ask questions that you learned in seventh grade. You went over those questions in seventh grade. I know with everything going on, it's going to be it's going to be difficult to really pinpoint what kind of questions that they're going to ask, but they normally don't give out a study guide.
Sure. And then one more question, which I think we talked about a little, but just to be very clear, the question is, when will we be informed about the new school's admissions? It's hard for parents to plan in the summer, and I know that there will be a lot of changes.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just going to go back to the slide. Hopefully everyone can see this. I can put it in present mode, but so June 15th, you will be given updated information about the requirements. So here it says, the searchable online directory in My Schools, which we just went over, will be updated with school data for 2021 admissions. Families can use the searchable directory in English and 9 of the DOE languages. So it is tough right now, since as of this moment, we don't know like what these admissions or requirements will be until June 15th. But after June 15th, you should have an idea of what they're looking for, and it'll be easier to find schools and write down schools that you feel your child meets those requirements. And like I said, thinking of everything else, like the traveling, how far it is, the percentages. So knowing all of that information will make it easier. And before the end of the school year, I'm hoping to send out a few worksheets that will guide you through the process and will guide you step by step on what to write down and what to look for when you start to think about creating a list.
Okay, we got a couple more.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for these thoughtful questions. One parent said, when is the SHSAT test taken?
So it's normally taken in October, like middle of October.
Okay. Next question. How are the schools going to distinguish students due to the flat grading system and lack of testing due to COVID-19?
Yeah, so this is, it's a tough question because the way that we are, the DOE's distributing final grades are like course in progress. And what were the other two, Ms. Balterman?
I'd have to look back on the exact wording,
Yeah.
which is out there in public knowledge, but I think they're still trying to determine really how to distinguish students because of this grading system. Hopefully, that's going to be something that comes out in the June 15th materials and guidance that we receive.
Yeah, I hope so. That's what I'm guessing. So with that, they've already announced that the attendance will not be taken into consideration. We have not taken any state test scores, so I'm guessing that that's not going to be a part of it either. So these requirements are going to be new for next year, and the way that they're going to distinguish, I'm not sure. Like, for example, I'm not sure if BARD is still going to require a test or an interview, and how they're going to, their cutoff for students who are applying. So it's very much up in the air, and I know that's not, a concrete answer, but I think that after June 15th, we'll have more of an idea of what to expect for next year.
Yeah, and a similar question came up in our morning workshop, and I will say that, come June 15th, hopefully we get the answers to these questions. Ms. Alcaraz really checks daily and connects with the people that she can. If we don't have these answers, we will do everything possible to get the information and get it to you in a timely manner. We completely understand it is tough to plan, and we're just trying to get through everything together. Okay, we have two more questions. Are there prep classes for the TACHS test?
So that's a great question. In the past, there's been one or two Catholic schools that have offered prep, and I'm not 100% sure if it's free, but there are those options. You might be able to find some free options online, but normally it's one of the Catholic schools that offers that opportunity. And again, once I get information about that, once we start 8th grade, I will definitely communicate that to families who are interested in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Again, we'll open it up just in case there's some last minute questions. I know there was one parent on here that asked about schools that let students live in the school, I think, from what was in the question. I had just put in the Q&A if you could clarify what you mean, and then we can try to answer that one. And the person who asked that question, if you would like to just, oh, she said thank you. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, great.
Well, and just to touch on that, there are like boarding schools in New York State and other states. But if that was of interest, I could always help get more information about that.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. I'm just looking in the chat, making sure we've answered everything. I do see one more about audition schools. For audition schools, will it be mainly over Zoom now or video?
Well, that's a tough one. We're hoping to be back in the building in September, and we're hoping that everything will be as normal as possible. So this past year, the auditions were not over Zoom, they were in person, and there were staff members there that would help evaluate those auditions. Sometimes they included an interview. Sometimes you had to, if it was art, you had to draw something that was in front of you. They might have you write an essay. So I'm hoping that that's how it's going to be this upcoming year. But it all depends on the circumstances, and if they will have to be online, then they would most likely be through Zoom, and each school would have to organize that audition.
And Ms. Alcaraz, in terms of preparing the students for these auditions, in the case, because it is still an unknown as to how and what learning will look like come the fall, if a child or a student does need help with an audition, please reach out and let us know. Here at Growing Up Green, like Ms. Alcaraz said, if help is needed, whether it's art or music, we can then connect you to those appropriate people within Growing Up Green to make sure that they're helped in the right direction.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just to add to that, every audition has different methods, different requirements, different styles of dance or art. So if you are interested in auditioning, like Ms. Balterman said, we can connect you with the right teachers to help you with that, or I can also make sure that you're getting the right audition information for the program that you're interested in.
Great. Okay, so I'm just searching through one more time. Okay, I'm gonna run over to the Q&A for the last time. Okay, I'm looking at a question now. It says, in some schools that let kids live in the campus, is there anything that's required?
So that sounds like a boarding school. I've never been through their process before, but you know, that's definitely an option. I do have a family that did it on their own this year and looked into boarding schools. So I don't know the requirements specifically. I'm guessing that each boarding school is different and has different requirements. So if that's something that you're interested in, please let me know and I will definitely support you through that process.
Okay, and then someone just asked another great question. Will there be another Zoom meeting after June 15th to help parents understand the new admissions?
You know, that's a really great idea. We haven't gotten that far just yet, but thank you for bringing that up. We'll definitely make a note of that and see what we can do after that date to really help clarify everything and support our families.
Mm-hmm. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much. Looking at everything, and it looks like there's no more questions. They're all answered. Nothing in our chat right now. Miss Alcris, did you have anything else?
Yeah, so I know that after this, you know, it's a lot of information. We are recording it, but if you have any questions that come up after, please do not hesitate to email me, and I will definitely get back to you and answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, everyone, for attending today.
Yes, thank you. And again, let me know if you need anything. Is that it, Ms. Balterman?
Good to go.
Okay, bye. Have a great
weekend.
Friday.
Bye.